Hey, how are you?
Why are you supporting these changes to the Electoral Act? What's wrong with same-day voting?
Well, it's pretty simple. When you vote, you're voting to give huge power to tax people's money, make rules restricting their lives. Frankly, I'm a bit sick of Dropkicks that can't get themselves organised to follow the law, which registering to vote is a legal requirement, then going along and voting to tax away hard-working people's money and have people that make laws that restrict their freedoms. You know, actually, rights come with some responsibilities. It's a responsibility to be on the electoral roll under the law. If you can't be bothered doing that, maybe you don't care so much.
These people are hard-working New Zealanders paying their taxes, could be busy, and you're calling them Dropkicks.
Well, there's about 1,000 days between elections. If they're working for 1,000 days straight, then I'll go and register for them. But for everyone else, I think you could probably find some time to go online for a few minutes and register to vote to fulfil the requirement of living in a democracy, which people are literally fighting to do around the world right now, let's just remember.
But people's top priority isn't politics like it is around here. Is that not voting, is that not a basic human right for many people?
Well, it's a basic human right if you register. In fact, it's actually an obligation to register. And what you might find is that if you look around the world in most places, it's a right that people don't have. It's been hard fought for and hard won, and all you need to do to access it in this country is go online for a couple of minutes and register or fill out a form. I mean, it's actually made so easy to do. They even have a little orange cartoon running around telling people to do it. And if you're too disorganised to do that over 1,000 days between two elections, then maybe you don't care that much. And if you don't care that much, maybe you shouldn't show up.
Are you comfortable with some ACT Party voters vote on the same day as the election?
Yeah, I do, and I'd encourage them to get in and get registered earlier. I suspect what you'll find is that ACT Party voters follow the law. If the law says you can do it, they will. But I believe it's important that you actually get registered in time, and under the new law, that's what you have to do.
Are you having any treating?
Sorry, yeah.
Do you have any data or any idea about who this is going to impact? Like, who is this cohort of people that are
Dropkicks.
voting late? Yes, but beyond that, like, that's your description of it. But
Yeah.
who are these people? Are they families? Who votes late? Do you have access to data or visualizations of that?
No, I don't, and it hasn't been. If we did have data, you could argue that it was done for discriminatory reasons. I believe it's a simple duty to actually register so that the roll is up to date and it actually performs an important task. People need to be able to scrutinise the roll so they know who the electorate is and so they can challenge illegal voting. If you can just show up on the day, show someone a piece of paper and say, I am who I am, and cast a vote, it casts suspicion on the integrity of our entire election. And when we have people showing up and actually managing to, potentially fraudulently vote, to fraudulently influence people to vote, the whole country says, I'm not so sure I trust this process anymore. And I ask the question, what right do people have to undermine the integrity of our elections or the perception of our elections' integrity because they can't be bothered enrolling a couple of weeks beforehand?
Are you comfortable with some voters?
Sorry?
Are you comfortable?
Already asked this, but do you have confidence in Neil quickly after yesterday's revelations about that email?
Look, I'm still processing what's coming through there, and I think Nicola, as the Minister of Finance, needs to get to the bottom of it. But I'm certainly keen to keep appraised, and I'm sure as a Cabinet we will.
Are you comfortable with some?
Sort of holding your confidence in a kind of liminal state.
Well, in a way, it's a difficult question because technically I don't have a role in appointing him. So whether I have confidence in him or not is more a matter of interest or opinion. The person that has to establish if she has confidence is the minister, and ultimately she's going to have to advise the cabinet. And I'll certainly be taking a close interest in that. I can tell you that.
What you learned yesterday regarding the fact that there was a piece of correspondence that existed, that there were concerns raised about the government's behaviour, did that rock your faith in the bank a wee bit? How would you describe your reaction to it?
Well, I think at times like this it's important everybody takes a sober approach. I always like the advice, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So let's just see what all the facts are. Certainly what's come out on the face of it would be worrying, but sometimes you get a story and it turns out that there's another one, and you don't want to end up being like a sort of a Sean Plunkett shock jock interview, do you?
Are you comfortable that voters who change their address but don't inform the Electoral Commission before that voting starts might not have their electorate vote counted under the proposed changes?
So if you move, you're obliged to update your address within 2 months, I think it is. So I don't see why that would be a problem unless you moved in the 2 weeks between when voting opens and when voting closes. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just curious, people
Because
don't-
I'm sure we'll manage that if that is the
People
case.
don't always
Yeah.
fulfil that obligation to inform the Commission within 2 months.
Yeah.
There might be Dropkicks in your view. Is
Yeah.
that?
Well,
are there
I actually
Dropkicks
take
next
it. I
time
take
to-
it very seriously. I
Yeah.
mean, my granddad went halfway around the world to fight for democracy. All I have to do is sit on the couch with my phone and update my address every time I move house. It's not that difficult.
So you are comfortable. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just the question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there
So-
anything wrong with people offering ice creams or hamburgers or something at a polling booth?
Well, if you have to give people an ice cream to vote for you, then maybe you don't have very good policies.
Yeah,
but
but
there's
people-
also the fact that it's a corrupt practice and you shouldn't do it.
People are not going to change their vote surely because of an ice cream.
Well, it just depends. I mean, if a person is showing up to a location they weren't going to vote and they get persuaded at the last minute, a vote's a vote. And that vote would count just as much as someone who's done their diligence as a citizen, gone through all the party's manifestos, perhaps gone to the public meetings. The ACT Party puts on excellent ones, by the way, to try and understand who they're voting for. That person's vote would count the same as someone who's walking past, got offered an ice cream. Hey, why don't you go and vote over there? And they do it. Oh, you don't even need to be registered. Just show them your driver's license, or maybe even just tell them you are who you are and they'll let you vote. The threshold's got to be higher.
Just in terms of stopping Dropkicks from voting, do you
So
think,
it's caught on.
yeah, no, do you think literacy tests at the polls would be a good idea?
No, I think that you should have a right to vote as long as you've fulfilled the procedure. We shouldn't be judging the characteristics or capability, although I sometimes wonder if there shouldn't be such a test for some of the people elected to Parliament.
But do you think it's fair? So, bigger philosophical question here, just around enrolment, right? You're saying
Yeah.
you got to jump through our particular bureaucratic hoops in order to.
Yeah,
to
but
you have to do it within 2 months,
yeah,
but not 3 months is too
yeah,
long.
but
1 month is
enrolment
fine.
enrolment fulfills a purpose
Yeah.
that enables the integrity of the election. And I actually think it should be like Australia, where it's sometime before that, but the government policy is that it's the night before voting starts.
Yeah.
Now, that fulfills a purpose. You can actually argue that your elections have less integrity if you don't do this. So that I think that's justified. If you started saying, oh, there has to be a literacy test or whatever, well, some people don't place a lot of stock in literacy. I mean, some people are very skilled working with their hands, and I don't see why we should say that their perspective's less valid, for example. And more importantly, it doesn't prevent you having an election with integrity to do it that way. All right, thank you very much.